Today we're going to talk about carbon monoxide. What is it? What are its sources? Where does it come from? What are its effects on your body? And lastly, is there anything we can do? Is there a detection that'll let us know when it's present? Carbon monoxide is often referred to as a silent killer. Why is that? What makes it so dangerous? Well, first off, it's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. So you could be in an environment that has carbon monoxide and not even know it. Carbon monoxide comes from the burning of fossil fuels when the burning is not 100% efficient, and that causes carbon monoxide. Also, because of the size of the molecule, it can penetrate some building materials like drywall. You can see here by this graphic, if the burning is complete, burning a fossil fuel results in water and carbon dioxide. If it's not completely efficient though, you'll get the water, the carbon dioxide, but also carbon monoxide, and you have some carbon left over in the form of ashes, the black soot. So what are the effects and symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning? Well, first of all, it bonds with the hemoglobin in your blood more efficiently than oxygen, which can lead to an oxygen deficiency. Even low dose exposure over a period of time might lead to flu-like symptoms, but without a fever. Some of the early onset symptoms might include headache, dizziness, weakness, or nausea. More acute symptoms may include malaise, which is just an overall general feeling of illness, chest pain, tachycardia with fast heartbeat, hypotension, low blood pressure, lack of coordination, and a non-cardiogenic pulmonary edema, which is fluid in your lungs. Some of this can cause long-term damage, especially for those who've lost consciousness. They can include memory loss, personality changes, heart problems, and even death. So what are some potential sources for carbon monoxide? Obviously, leaving a car running in a garage. Now remember, some construction materials are permeable to carbon monoxide, so it can still get into the living space. Here's a grill on a patio, and there's a sliding door over on the left. If the breeze or airflow happens to go this direction, then carbon monoxide can get into your living space. Here's an interior view of a furnace's heat exchanger that over time rusted out because of the moisture and the combustion. So now this furnace is leaking gases into the living space, potentially carbon monoxide. Similarly, on the exterior, you want to make sure the vents for the furnace are clear so they're not blocked. This is a burner on a gas stove that's not properly adjusted. The yellow flame is indicating that it's not burning efficiently and needs adjustment. The fireplace obviously needs to vent its fumes properly outside, and there should be no leaks to go inside the living space. And here, running a generator inside of a garage, even with it open a little bit, is never a good idea. There are things that can be done to mitigate the risk involved with carbon monoxide. The first is make sure your appliances in the house are maintained properly by a professional. Have your furnace checked. If your stove doesn't seem to be burning correctly, have it checked. If you have a fireplace or a wood stove, make sure the chimney's in good shape and that the ductwork for the stove is sealed up properly. Obviously, never leave a car or a generator running in a garage. And finally, proper placement of carbon monoxide detectors saves lives. So how do carbon monoxide detectors work? Well, first off, there's three basic technologies. We're only going to discuss the electrochemical because that's the most commonly used. It's reliable, low in defects, but it does have a high sensitivity to ammonia-based cleaners. So you just need to be aware of that. If you're using an ammonia-based cleaner, that can cause false alarms. This chart is just showing in parts per million of carbon monoxide, what are the likely effects? At 800 parts per million, you can get headache and nausea after 45 minutes of exposure, perhaps unconsciousness after 2 hours. At 1,000 parts per million, loss of consciousness typically after an hour of exposure. When carbon monoxide detectors are manufactured, they follow a UL standard, Underwriter's Laboratory, on how quickly they need to alarm. And you want to avoid false alarms. So at 70 parts per million, it'll alarm within 60 to 240 minutes. Whereas if there's 400 parts per million of carbon monoxide, you can expect an alarm within 4 to 15 minutes. That's just a cutaway view of an electrochemical sensor. And again, the CO1224, it's made by System Sensor. It's one of our devices in our product lines, and it utilizes the electrochemical technology, and it has a 10-year lifespan. And at the end of the 10-year lifespan, the unit will need to be replaced. New York State Department of Education has issued guidelines to the schools on when carbon monoxide detectors are needed. First off, if the school has a fuel-fired boiler or heating units that use gas, they need carbon monoxide detectors. Maybe there's an emergency generator in the building that burns fuel. Most kitchens at a school use gas for their ranges and ovens. Hot water heaters. Labs that have torches or a welding shop. Maintenance and storage areas with fuel-fired equipment. And a garage. Even if there's no intent to park a vehicle in the garage, it's still considered a space requiring carbon monoxide detectors. So where should carbon monoxide detectors be physically installed? Well, first off, they should be near appliances that burn fuel, typically 15 feet or so, because that's the most likely source of carbon monoxide. There should be some in central locations to ensure good coverage. If there's sleeping areas in the building, there should be detectors inside and near the entrances to those sleeping areas. For HVAC systems, detectors can be placed in the vicinity or even within the air duct on the return air to monitor air circulating through the building. And if it's a multi-level building, they should be on every floor, including the basements. The question is, where do you mount them? They can be mounted on the ceiling or the wall. If it's wall mounted, the Environmental Protection Agency recommends put them about 5 feet above the floor level. Avoid humid areas like bathrooms or near excessive airflow like close to a window. At Syracuse Time and Alarm, we have a number of offerings that can be part of a building's overall life safety solution. We are proud distributors of Notifier and Gamewell FCI, both by Honeywell. This is the CO1224 series made by System Sensor in St. Charles, Illinois. These are not battery-operated devices. These are actually designed to be integrated as part of a life safety solution. These are the intelligent carbon monoxide detectors that can be equipped with a sounder base for local enunciation that also would be integrated as a building's life safety system. Makuro detectors, manufactured in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, is part of a system that is well suited for garages or manufacturing facilities that can further be integrated as part of the overall building system under a Notifier or Gamewell FCI system. As stated before, we are a provider of integrated life safety systems, and we have been entrusted with the safety of multiple healthcare facilities, public schools, college campuses, manufacturing, and mixed-use buildings across New York State.